Hi, dear friends. There is a very pleasant change in political culture of Pakistan, and I'm really happy to see all that. Maybe I have contributed too in this respect. Uh, the problem of terrorism, as mentioned by our able Prime Minister today, that has been that has been almost over, both in Karachi and Punjab too. Yesterday there were two bomb attacks in Mitra area of Peshawar. So KPK is still facing this problem. Too much heat is caused by hot weather and by a debate going on regarding corruption here in Pakistan. Sindh government was kind enough, they had announced early summer vacations, so they have saved the children. We have to protect younger ones and elders in harsh weathers. And Sindh government has some idea about all this, so they did it. Summer is too hot this year again in Pakistan. Even here in Kohat, in presence of all cooling mechanisms, uh, one can get sweating even in a complacent environment too. And I think Punjab and KPK and rest of the provinces will also follow the suit if they do have this heat problem, excessive heat problem in summers here in May. They shall also go for early summer vacations for school children. Shall also take all the measures necessary to protect the rest of the population too. Now, the pleasant change in our political culture is that we have started discussing everything within the parliament. A very jolly MNA from Punjab, though she is from a ruling party, recently she has said that in a TV channel interview that we are trying to protect each other, trying to protect each other's corrupt practices. So the focus of the debate in parliament is corruption, and almost all the parties involved in the debate are now issuing depressing data. Rest of the people in Pakistan whom are protesting on streets for jobs and for salaries, that is quite depressing for them, that billions of rupees are being invested in offshore companies, and there is no record, I mean, with the State Bank, because State Bank issues permission uh, if he legally wants to uh, take out money and invest somewhere abroad. So billions of dollars are being invested by our leadership and rest of the business community too. But our State Bank has no record of it. How that money was gone out, obviously that money laundering is there. And that is a crime. But you see, uh, there is a very interesting development now. 400% increase in the salaries of our able MNAs, members of parliament, was being suggested and finally uh, refused by the chairman of Senate, obviously on the grounds that they are not doing their job properly. We have constitutional mechanisms of dealing with immoral practices of our elected leadership and all that. Assembly members, if they come up with a vote of no confidence against their corrupt leader of the house, then they're doing their job and they deserve their all the increases and everything which they want. But if they are not doing that, no impeachment process has been initiated within the parliament. But just debate and a questionnaire was there for the Prime Minister, and the way Prime Minister has responded to that was worth seeing, and I have enjoyed that. I mean, as a position says, and if it is true that he was lying, he did it in a very skillful way. Though, I mean, it's not good to lie within the parliament. Especially, I mean, by myself, I'm concerned about those $9 million invested in Gulf Steel there in UAE. How that money was taken out? Somebody from PPP, that Dr. Mubashir Hassan, finance minister of that time, when industry of one of our great leader was nationalized by Bhutto. Then his papa went to finance minister and asked him about permission to invest money there, and there in Gulf, in UAE. And even in those days that State Bank permission was needed. So there is no record of that lawful transaction made to erect Gulf Steel in Dubai, in UAE. So situation is really bad in a sense that mostly rich people, once they are caught, they say okay, and they accept their mistakes, and they do compensate for it. If they insist upon defending the wrong thing, being a leader of the nation, then what the younger ones will learn, the future, the existing generations and future generations, because everything is on record and it's a history now. The coming generations will even come to know how the affairs of Pakistan, the most rich state of the world uh, were managed. Billions of dollars of Pakistanis are there in Swiss banks. And Swiss banks are good in keeping illegal money. Few years ago, there is an elderly journalist, Kuldeep Nair from India. He came up with the article, a comprehensive article, regarding amount of the money which both Indians and Pakistanis are having in Swiss banks. That amount is so big that if we erase Pakistan 7 times and reconstruct it again, that amount will never end. But it happens in third world, where the people are not aware and where the controlled democracy is there, where the level play field is being provided to certain specific people to be in politics, then such things are bound to happen. And ironically, these practices are in contradiction with our national security interest. Because if once all the wealth goes in the hands of few and there is a diminished economic activity, definitely if the monopoly is there and if there is no competition either in politics or in business, the bust is going to be the ultimate outcome in both fields. And bust is quite eminent. Economic bust is there. Today, the reports which I have received, our exports are decreased. Our industry is at the verge of disaster in Faisalabad and in other areas too. And same is the problem with politics, because that controlled democracy had paved the way for induction of only few, and if that few are really so corrupt, then what future holds for Pakistan, everybody can understand that well. The pleasant change in our political culture has two dimensions now. One is that corrupt are trying to defend themselves through a drama within the parliament. And the other aspect is that whatsoever it is, but they're doing it very politely. There was no scuffle within the parliament. There is no war on the streets. Things are moving in a very peaceful manner. Big rallies are being held by the Prime Minister and his opponents, especially PTI. They are holding big rallies, but there is only a few incidents where in PTI rallies where the females were mistreated. Nothing wrong has been happening or was happened, and that is a good omen for democracy. even if it is a drama. We are heading towards transparency finally, because the ultimate responsibility of internal and external security is upon armed forces. And they're watching the whole thing very carefully, and they're well aware of the facts, and they have their own means to confirm who is lying and who is truthful in his or her assertions. So I hope that they will do their duty well, and finally the country will be saved. Inside Parliament, any chances of impeachment are not there. Opposition is having not that much seats to, and even they are unwilling to make a move against the Prime Minister. They are coming up with the ideas like ultra-constitutional methods, like creating a commission. Nobody upon their own terms with they're making TORs. Nowhere is in the world an accused person has been given a right to create a court of his own choice for himself upon his own terms and conditions. We have our code of laws still intact, and we do have anti-corruption department. Even today, 3 corrupt officers are being booked here in Kohat. So normal processes are there, and if there is really any corruption, that will be definitely dealt with iron hands. We do have state institutions intact and alive and vigilant too. So all those who are concerned about all this, I assure them that there will be no problem. I mean, everything will be settled soon. Chief of the Army Staff had held a meeting with the Prime Minister Saab and has advised him to settle this issue of Panama leaks, and he did it rightly, because it is a question of our national security. It's a big concern of our people too, because we all pay taxes, and if our leadership feels like doing tax evasions, doing money laundering, and is not allowing to earn their living even to the ordinary people, because the teachers in Punjab are on roads, the lady health workers are on roads in Pakistan, asking for their salaries, fighting for their salaries. That farmers, they are on roads in Punjab. They're fighting for their subsidies and their living. And in such a hot weather, one farmer has had breath, he has lost his breath finally during protest demonstration there in Lahore. So it is really pathetic that no one has taken up these issues within the Parliament. The major concern was projection of the riches of ruling elite. That drama which is going on within the Parliament. Some of my journalist colleagues, they have also highlighted all this, that here people are not a concern of the Parliament. And finally that bombshell came that Parliament members had suggested 400% increase in their salary. So once you don't know even your job, and once you're not taking good care of your people, and you're demanding big amounts of money as salary, I mean, everybody has become very clear about the type of leadership which we have, and what else we can do, but we can laugh, and all of us are laughing. Some of them, they have some little hearts, so they can weep too, and they are weeping on the streets. So uh, hope all this will end soon, and there will be some swift compensation to all the people of Pakistan, because the sufferings are too much now. If I collect all the data, somehow, which is not possible, because the moment I meet someone, whether whether that is he or she, the story starts, and we are of the type that we can laugh at our own sufferings. By myself, I am deprived of, including my all other correspondent colleagues, 62 colleagues, which are now, they say that the number has been increased to 102. They're all from the last 6 months, they haven't got any salary, and but still we can laugh, and I don't know how such an immoral stance and in such a shameless way can be taken by certain people, and maybe there are certain psychological problems with our leadership too. Sometimes it happens that a person becomes very self-centered. Well, selfish and self-centered people, they eventually, they suffer too much. I by myself, in my lifetime, during that span, I'm still alive until today. I did all my duties selflessly, as a father, as a correspondent, as a monitoring officer, and as a principal, as a vice chancellor, whatsoever duty was assigned to me, I did it efficiently, and the results were astonishing, outputs were astonishing, and everybody was quite satisfied with it. So through my own experience, I mean, I did all that not in a very complacent environment, while facing suicide bomb attacks, while facing grenade attacks, while facing rocket attacks. The whole data is there in my blog. On each date, when something was happened to me, I used to make a note, 1 or 2 paragraphs on it, and that is there in my blog. So I don't feel like wasting too much time on it. But one interesting event, which that was not an event, that was a horrible incident. But you know that in my part of the world, life has no value. In my previous videos, I have tried to create some love for the country and my people, and now I must focus on this, that my people shall realize the worth of their lives, of their existence. So I'll narrate a small story which is real in what has happened to me and the thinking behind it. Firstly, I have to explain one thing, that suicide is forbidden in Islam. Whether it is suicide bomb attack or whether if someone is so depressed or somehow compelled to commit suicide. In my part of the world, in Kohart where I'm based, uh, everybody is very clear about it. That Islam does not allow suicides. So the funeral prayers here in Kohart are not being offered for a person who has committed suicide because it is un-Islamic. Now you see how the trends are changing. All around me we have suicide bombers, suicide bomb attacks. Even today in Peshawar, 3 suicide bombers are killed because their jackets were exploded and all the 3 were on a motorbike. So life has no value here. I used to catch a taxi in Peshawar after coming down from a coach because I was daily traveling to my office in University Town, Peshawar. From my residence is here in Kohart, and I have part-time duty here with Associated Press of Pakistan. So I was supposed to come and go daily from Kohart to Peshawar and from Peshawar to Kohart. So in the morning, when I reached Peshawar, I came down from coach, had caught a taxi. So there was something unusual because that taxi driver, he had approached me. He was very tidy and clean. Normally in Peshawar nobody can stay tidy and clean because environment is polluted and too much carbon is there in the air. And especially in hot weathers, nobody can stay that clean. So the taxi driver was very clean with large beard. And his taxi was not having that color, that official color allotted to the taxi cabs here in Peshawar. So I asked him about the rent, how much will he charge me. So that was also very reasonable. So I said, okay. So he said, okay, come and sit in front with me, we will have a gossip. I said, okay. So while heading towards University Town, Peshawar, when I had a look at the dashboard of the taxi, something very unusual was there. His pension book was lying there at the dashboard, not inside the box. So I asked him about his department and he said he's a retired person of family health department, family planning department. So when we reached near to my office, after crossing the Customs Square, he made a very strange demand. He said, let us let us go towards your office through the road which leads towards the office of UNHCR. I said, no, go straight, because The straight road was guarded by Pakistan Armed Forces because they are having some installations there, and the airport is also there. So the guards are sitting in their minarets and they're watching everything, so nobody can plant anything on the road. So I always opt for that road. And taxi driver was hesitant. I said, no, move straight. So reluctantly he has started moving on the road which I had suggested to him. The moment I reached near to my office, which was in those days on main Abdur Road in University Town, Peshawar, near to the Sheraton Hotel when we were there, and at the side of us was bakery, there was a huge explosion. Such a huge explosion that our ears were affected, and the heat was generated, and I thought that our clothes will catch fire because too much heat was there. Well, the taxi had a jerk, and I looked at the driver and I said, don't stop it, okay? Keep on moving. My office is almost few yards away from here. So finally, we were near to our office. I paid money to the taxi driver and he went away. Now my guards came and they said, sir, on main Abdurrah Road, there was a suicide bomb attack at UNHCR office. Now I was coming back to my senses because the explosion was too huge, and I had started thinking that taxi driver was insisting too much that we shall move through the road leading towards UNHCR office. And then I have checked the timings and I have realized that if we would have opted for that road, the taxi driver had suggested, we would have been exactly near to the UNHCR main gate at the time of attack. And that would have been my end. Good number of people were injured and killed in that attack. Mostly Americans were there, which were harmed. So I had realized that, we don't have only suicide bombers here in Pakistan, but we are having people who can take us near to the death and are willing to die along with us. I had checked the whole Peshawar. I never had a glimpse of that taxi driver again. So these are the realities of life here. He wanted to kill himself along with me by taking me towards a place where the bomb was already been planted, and he was very courteous and while attracting me towards his taxi. That was my sixth sense and that decision power, because I do not accept dictates of anyone. I do analyze the situation and I do take decisions. Since childhood I'm like this. And most often my decisions, because I do take well-informed decisions. So not only do save my own life, but the lives of others too. And my profession is like this. Monitoring is all about collecting information, doing observations, and then giving analysis and recommendations finally upon the basis of information and observations. We do take decisions finally. So life of an ordinary person here is like this, that they don't give it any value to it, not the majority, but those who are under the influence of certain dogmas, certain people who have misinterpreted Islam. And sometimes I do also think that I never do anything which can make me a target of anybody. I do conform to my culture and religion too, but not in that sense which extremists do. If suicide leads them towards heaven as they think, suicide is forbidden in actual Islam, and I believe in it. And I want every sane person in Pakistan to consider all this, and they can confirm it from Quran and Hadith. That is it. In no sect of Muslims, suicide is being allowed to reach Jannah. Nobody can. Even funeral prayers are forbidden here in Kuhat for a person who commits suicide for one reason or another. So, as a nation, we also shall not encourage people who are taking us towards suicide-like phenomena. Obviously, if I stay silent for a few bucks, how many more months they can stop my salary? Just to make me say this, that yeah, okay, the billions which we have plundered, you just convince your people that that was all right. And life for I mean, who am I to determine truth or falsehood of anyone? But we can investigate. My boss was of the view during the last meeting that I must go to Panama, where the leaks are being there regarding offshore companies. No, nothing in black and white has been given to me till today, but I am ready for it. I'll go there once the orders are there. Collective suicide can happen when all of us remain silent, remain inactive, refuse to use our powers, refuse to do our duty of protecting our citizens, of our country. Then you see, it is also a suicide. So we must not be a victim of inaction, and we shall do what we are bound to do in accordance with the Constitution and law of the land. Because misuse of power, extra constitutional means, I do not encourage anybody of doing that. The courts are there to decide who is guilty and who is not. The parliament is there to decide the fate of a person who is lying before them. And obviously parliamentarians, if they will not do, they are also a part of an effort of making collective suicide, because that is something, suicide has different dimensions. And political suicide means that if a person is supporting corruption, definitely will not be uh, uh, getting any votes in coming elections, because people, they do not like such people who are always talking about their riches and plunders as their Robin Hoods, and the rest of the nation is uh, plundered stuff. So that is not the case. Pakistanis are very strong and intelligent people, and they can take stock of such culprits whom are trying to plunder them. And all those who are concerned, they shall not worry. I mean, I'm not the one who will sell his pen or his words, spoken words, for money. God has created me in a very advantageous situation, and obviously I've seen death so many times that there is no fear in me since childhood. All of you know that while coming back, they had sent me to lead a delegation to USA soon after the air crash of our president and uh, chief of the ISI, along with American ambassador and Brigadier General Wassam. They were all in the same plane, and they had left us in an air crash. And then final responsibility, President of Pakistan had assigned me to reach USA as a delegate. And I did my duty there along with 3 other colleagues. And after 22 days, I was coming back towards Pakistan. And then on Los Angeles airport, there was a big hole in the cockpit. See? That smart man, that captain, probably is working for either FBI or CIA, because when the plane started moving and was about to catch speed, he had a glimpse of that hole in a cockpit, and finally the brakes were there. And recently Madrid, the plane was exploded on the airport, but probably they were using a special plane for us. So even that hole was unable to make the plane running plane explode. So we had a stay, one night stay, and all the moment the plane was stopped and everything was announced, then the passengers, obviously, women, children, and everybody was weeping because death was so certain. And that colleague of mine, he was looking at me, and he was also finally was going in his head towards God, as Muslims do, to be thankful to the God in such situations for saving their lives. I was standing aside and was laughing a bit, and was the moment my colleague came and he said, "You're laughing." And I said, "What to do? God has given us new life, and we must enjoy." They had to arrange another plane for us, so we had to stay for one more night in Los Angeles. And I said, "Okay, we will have some fun tonight." And finally I normalized my colleague. I do this, I stay normal, and I'm being checked for this. So don't worry, I mean, I cannot be cowed down by anyone. And I know that armed forces and other security agencies, now we are all at a high alert, and something great will come up soon, and Pakistan will be saved finally from plunderers and from all the bad guys. If they're really bad guys, if they're just posing to be rich and spreading false statistics about their riches to make others depressed, that is their headache. But if that is true that they have plundered this country that much and they're still enjoying public offices, and if they think that they will remain there for long, I don't think that that is a very realistic approach. And if they are not guilty, I hope that they will remain there. And but this is something really uh, a big concern to everybody. Even I can't uh, concentrate on anything else because people are so concerned and they're just rushing towards us. That, what will happen? What will happen? Everybody knows that in informed circles, we all know that what is going to be the outcome of all this, and that will be visible for to the rest of the world too. And I hope that everything will be done in a graceful manner, fair and just manner too. So uh, I wish all the best to all of you, and I hope that all good things will happen not only to the people of my country but to the people of the rest of the world too. I think in global terms, and too many good things are already happening. Bye.